Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Mupo and Friends. I'm Hollywood with our host, Michelle Mupo, and my co-host, Heather Hernandez. And we have a very special guest for you tonight or today, coming to you live from Las Vegas, world champion kickboxer, personal fitness and nutritionist, trainer, Tim Lane. Welcome, Tim. How are you?
Hello. Good.
How
Thank
is
you.
Las Vegas?
Las Vegas is we're doing good. We're staying strong, but it's a little bit weird out here. But we're staying strong.
That was my home for a while, about 8, 9
Yeah.
years. Yes. So I have a little piece of my heart over there. So I'm praying that all of us get back to or pivot around to something good. So
Mm.
So for those of you who know, Tim is in our little entourage, and I know Hallie's going to do a great interview today. I am going to more or less host it, and Heather is going to handle all the questions coming in. But I want to say one thing. I'm honored to have you because of your story. So the first thing, I'm going to let Holly start, but I just want to say I'm very honored to have you, and I think you have such a touching story that everybody better get their tissues out. Like, this is the real deal. Tim Lane.
well, we're going to talk about that, but I also want for people who do not know yet who you are, to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the fitness industry, because you're world kickboxing, which
Mm.
you're a champion. So I'd love to know about that. What led you to that?
Well, Holly, I want to say hi, Heather. I didn't say hi to you yet. Hi, Heather. Well, Holly, my father was in the military, so I was born in Germany, in Würzburg, Germany, on an army base. And when I was 3 years old, my parents moved back over here, and they split up. And my dad had to go out of town for another year to Korea on military assignment, and he left me here with his sister for a year. And living with my sister on the East Coast, her husband at the time was from India, and they ate a lot of curry food. So the cuisine I got used to, but I had a bully pretty bad that year that changed, I think, the course of my life. And when I left my aunt's, my dad picked me back up the next year. I had asked my dad to put me in martial arts. So we moved to Oklahoma, and that's when I started judo when I was 5 years old, because I wanted to learn how to protect myself so nobody ever bullied me again. And that's when I experienced a tournament where I had a feeling on my skin that I later knew to be goosebumps. But I won that day, and the referee raised my hand, and the feeling I got, I had never felt that good in my life. And I just felt like, wow, life is good, and everybody's cheering for me. This is the first time that I feel like, you know, I'm where I'm supposed to be. And from that moment on, it was my goal to be a world champion. So wherever my father moved, he would put me in a different martial art, and I would compete in that martial art.
That's great. You started so young. Now you mentioned bullying. Have you worked with kids that are going through that experience?
I have, Holly. I've worked with a lot of children, and the main reason that kids come in to see me is because of their confidence. And whether it's a bully or whether it's something else in their life, most of the time it boils down to confidence. So what I train for the children first, this is for adults too, but to feel good about themselves. And when they put the effort forth and they build a little bit of confidence, everything changes in their life. So.
Do you believe if kids are taught the rules, obviously with kickboxing, with martial arts, there is a lot of rules, as like when you're good and you know that you can throw a good punch, there's a great responsibility that comes with that. And do you believe if kids learn that, they are more prone to not bully other kids and not use that power that they have unless necessary?
Yes, that's been my experience, Holly, is every time. Well, not every time. Now, I've had a few exceptions. The kids would beat up really bad and they went back and beat up their bullies. But the majority of the time, when they feel better, They just walk more confident, and they don't look for problems, and they smile a lot more. So.
Right. And I saw a clip that you did. It's on YouTube, and it was I just I loved it. You were talking to a group of kids, and you were giving them a reason of a lot of times when we get into fitness or we have to do certain things, we have to give up things. So in order to have something you want, you have to be willing to do what others are not willing to do. And so, tell us about how you were training them, and it was just a story you were telling them. It was incredible.
Yeah, well,
I remember Captain Crunch.
Well, one day I was 20 years old, and I was working at a karate school, and my karate instructor caught me eating lunch. And at that time, I was just having a little snack that I like to have, which was Captain Crunch berries after I had my turkey sandwich. And he came back there. He said, "Tim, what are you doing?" So I'm eating what I eat every day. I got sparring tonight. I always spar well. I'm eating my Captain Crunch berries. And he said, "Tim, if you want to be world champion, you got to stop eating Captain Crunch berries." And before he said that, I was not considering stopping eating Captain Crunch berries. But he said, "Tim, if you want to be a world champion, you have to stop eating Captain Crunch berries." I did not know the significance of it, and I sparred that night. I did really well. I finished my bowl as well, but I stopped eating it. And I had a competition about 3 months after that. And when I got to the ring, I started bouncing around, and I noticed something. I noticed a feeling of confidence. I was always confident because I love fighting. But I bounced around, and I thought to myself, man, I stopped eating Captain Crunch berries for you. And my confidence, I knocked him out in the first round, but my confidence went through the roof. And that was the spot on the ring walk. You could do great in fight camp and everything, but on that ring walk, everything that's in our, subconscious, everything that we did comes up. And that's the number one time you got to say, okay, did I do the right thing? I did the right thing. And a part you didn't get, Holly, on that was there was a kid named Babalu, and Babalu is one of the best kids on the team. And he said that his favorite cereal was Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And I said, "Babalu, would you give up Cinnamon Toast Crunch to be in the Major League Baseball?" And you know what he said? He said no. He said no. The whole team, everybody cracked up, laughing. But a lot of the kids were like, "Man, I would give it up to be in a Major Baseball league." So, you some people do, some people don't. But at that last minute before the fight, when you need that confidence, you got to know you did the right thing. So that's why I stopped.
So
That's a great way to tell the lesson.
So, and that's amazing because obviously your sensei saw something in you that you didn't see and made you aware of it. And I think a lot of that has to do with growing up and being in the right place at the right time. And you were definitely blessed at that point because that to me, I had goosebumps just telling that story. My thing is I'm dying to talk about because it's Suicide Prevention Month. Okay. And I want you to tell us this story that people are going to see a different side of you. And you're a hero. I don't know if you know it, but to me, you're considered a hero. And I think that you need to be put into every household name, and maybe you should be on a cereal box. I'm not kidding. So if you could just tell us a little bit about that story, because get your tissues out.
Essentially, it's what led to your the fitness that you formed, right? Because I know that on your website you combine the mind along with the body and the training, and so the mindset is a big part of your training and how you train people. It's not just about the fitness. Yeah.
Yes, that changed for me about maybe 5 years ago, bringing more of the mental aspect into it. But I've trained fighters for many years on how to be mentally in their game to get ready for battle. But all I was preparing my fighters for was battle, because that's all I had done my whole life. It wasn't until 5 years ago that I went to an emotional intelligence class where I learned what I thought was my power was my weakness. Right. So, yeah. And Michelle, I really appreciate those kind words. I would love to be on a cereal box.
I think
But
you will be.
it's a deep story. Tim it definitely is a survival story, something that everyone can learn from. And I'm really, honored that you're here and that you're willing to share this with us. Share this with, there's people out there right now who are probably thinking about it, have tried it. It is a difficult subject, but it is one that's much needed because people feel really alone, especially at times like this. You never know. And I always say never judge because you never know until you've been there. So, Michelle?
Listen, I wrote a song, Suicide's a Waste of Your Time, for a reason that we'll talk about at another, trust me, in my book it's going to be. But this right here, I am so grateful that you survived, because to tell this story and the fact that you're a kickboxing champion and people look up to you and people respect you, and it just floors me. If you wouldn't mind, I know it's a deep subject, but if you wouldn't mind just telling us how it happened and what made you get to that point.
Okay. Well, ladies, it started when I was 4 years old. My parents split, and there was some things that happened during that year that put me into a very, very scared state of mind. So bad that there was a time during that period that I told myself I would rather not be here. And I didn't know quite what that meant. I just knew that being there at my aunt's house and being around the situation I was in wasn't for me. So wherever my father would move to, I would battle and I would fight wherever I went. I'm not only a redhead stepchild, but in when I lived with my aunt, I smell like curry, so people call me names on the curry thing. So wherever I moved, I wanted people to like me, and I was very self-conscious if people were talking about me, or I would do whatever I felt was necessary to get people to like me, whether it be be funny or play sports, or especially fighting. For me, I love fighting, so people like me for that. And wherever I moved, I was, things went well if I was a good fighter. Well, when I was 14 years old, I ended up getting into a fight, and I hurt somebody very badly, and I was caught up in the court system and received a juvenile life sentence for the period of 14 to the age of 20. And when I was 19, I was released, and I went to New Jersey. Long story short, I ended up back in Virginia doing martial arts again, and staying in the gym and fighting. That was my life. When I was 26 years old, I moved to New York to pursue my professional fight career, and I lived in Brooklyn by Gleason's Gym. And
I know it very well. I've trained out of there.
Yeah. So you know how you can just, if you're a fighter and you're there, it's like, man, I'm home, right? So I went through my whole fight career. I never dealt with any of my issues. I was just fighting people. Tim's a great fighter. And because I was able to fight every day, and because I was able to kind of let steam off, it never made me pay attention to what was still stuck inside me. I never told anybody what happened to me during that age when I was 4 years old. My dad came back to pick me up. I stuffed it in, and I never thought there was any reason why I should let it out. I should just forget it. So all those things I still got piled up in me, and that's what fueled my whole fight career. And that's to a big part. That's why I did so good. That's why I stopped eating Captain Crunch berries. I did everything I had to do in order to be the best fighter that I could possibly be. And in 2006, it all ended. I stopped fighting, and I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. So my body was all banged up. So I started taking pain medication to help, try to feel somewhat right. And after some time went through, I fell into a deep depression that nobody knew about. And even though it seemed like I had a lot of great things going on, I was dying inside. And I was so respected at the gym that nobody would ever ask me, Tim, what's wrong? You know, you look like you're out of shape. You don't look like you're yourself. But I was so good at putting up an act for people to, you know, hey man, it's okay with Tim. Tim is okay. But I had hit a point where I just didn't want to live anymore. You know, I saw people that people are not respectful. People are, you know, you talk behind people's back. You know, these married people, why'd you get married if you're going to act the way you act? I just saw humanity as kind of like the Howard Stern show. And I said, okay, you know, I'm done. I had thought that I was going to die in battle. I thought that I was going to do, you know, some other things. I thought that my life would end up different. But you know what? Since I'm done fighting, I'm ready to move on. I was so self-conscious that instead of just thinking, hey, man, take a gun, shoot you in the head, I didn't want nobody to ever know that I would ever do something to myself. So I planned it out that I would take a knife like the old samurai would do when they're done in battle and they want to leave this earth. You take a knife, you put it inside you, and you cut, and you lay there and bleed out. And that was an honorable thing to do thousands of years ago. So I thought to myself, I don't want nobody knowing I did this, so I'm just going to shoot it straight in, straight out, and just lay there and bleed.
Wow.
Well, the plan ended up being one way, and then that night, things were just, I was in the middle of the woods, and I'm thinking about my life, and I'm asking myself these questions. And at the end of the night, I was ready to go. So I did what I planned on doing, put the knife in, no pain at all. And when I pulled it out, I felt like my whole life was just in front of me. And I laid there for, I don't know how long it was, but it was when the sun was coming up, so probably 5, maybe 6 hours. And it was a dog that came, somebody was walking their dog, and I remember the dog came up to me, and I guess not expecting to see anybody. I just remember a little dog coming up and looking me in my face, and I couldn't, you know, I didn't know if I was alive or dead. And somehow they came in and got me and put me on a helicopter, and that's about the last thing I remember until I woke up, and my mother was next to me, and my mother says, you know, Tim, what happened? And I didn't tell her. I said, Ma, it was an accident. But something about it in her eyes, whether she knew that something was different, however it was, she said, Tim, promise me that you'll never do this. I want you to find your way. And I took those words and I said, okay, I can't leave life like this. I'm going to get better, and I'm going to continue to be on my path and be on my road to be a coach. And never told anybody anything about it. I just said I fell on a knife and got out of the hospital, went home, and was in a pretty rough state of mind. And a lot of people called me and said, hey, you know, you ought to go and see a doctor. You ought to go see a psychiatrist or this and that. And I didn't. I completely shut down. And I said, okay, I'm going to change my life. And I quit everything that I was doing. I packed up my car and put my gym bag in the back of my car. And I drove out to Las Vegas to be a fight trainer with a boxer that I had that was undefeated, that I had been training for about 15 years. And we moved out here to pursue his boxing career. And that's what, that's what brought me out here. And I never talked about this and never had brought this up until about 5 years ago. So I was out here for many years, still identifying to being a fighter and a fight coach before I ever knew about anything else in life. So, yeah, guys.
You said something happened in your childhood that you never told, and that was kind of that thing that you held inside that ate up at you. Are you able to say what happened?
I am, Holly. You know, my aunt was she disciplined me in a pretty rough way. You know, my first night there, the first night that I recall anyway of me, her, and her husband eating dinner, I was hungry. Whether we had traveled or whatever it was, I filled up my plate with a bunch of stuff. You know, I had never eaten those little peppers that are really hot, and you know, I'm hungry, so I stack it up. And she my aunt looks at me, she goes, make sure you eat all your food that you put on your plate. And I'm like, you don't even know me, I can eat. Well, I started to eat, and then I hit one of those peppers, and I was like, oh my God, everything lit on fire. And, I pushed the plate back. I'm like, that stuff, it's too hot for me. And she said, remember what I told you about that, about eating everything on your plate? And I'm like, I'm not eating everything on my plate. Well, she struck me in my face, knocked me out of my chair, and went back over there and picked me up. And she said, finish your food. And, I finished my food, and I realized what kind of situation I was in. And, that year I was disciplined, a little rough, so.
I could definitely feel you on that one. I think
What
that's
do-
why we fight. That's why people
right.
want to get in the ring, to release their tension.
How did you were how old when this happened?
4.
What did you do to survive when you were going through that? How did you talk to yourself and get through it? Because you knew you had to survive that till your dad picked you up.
Holly, I went into this year many times, but I don't know. I just remember surviving. I would come home, and there'd be nights where I would hide in my closet. I didn't want to.
It's
No,
I feel for it's awful what some people how they treat children, and it's just it's so wrong. It's so wrong. I know so many I understand they say so many people that do that are injured children themselves. So you did a great thing the way you survived, and you now help other children from bullying, from uh, you know thinking about things like taking their lives, and helping people too, adults, to really overcome what's going on in the mind. The mind is so powerful, and like you said, you work a lot with that. Tell us a little bit, and thank you for sharing that, Tim. A lot of
yes, thank
respect for
you.
you.
Well,
I know that's
one thing though, if there's kids out there that are listening to this, because we are out there for kids, and you
Mhm.
feel like you can't take it no more, what would the advice you give them? Like what type of advice? Listen to the way I say it. What type of advice would you give children or adults that can't get out of the state that they're in? The abusiveness, the depression, the PTSD, because obviously people can relate to that.
What I would say is, as long as you can see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, that's hope. As long as you got hope, just know that we all been in those dark places. But man, with all the resources we have today, we can find things that keep our mind right. And you may not be able to get out of the situation you're in right now, but if you have hope that your future is going to be bright, you can get through this. Trust me, you can get through this. I wish I had somebody to tell me that I would listen to. But a lot of times I didn't hear the voices that was telling me things. But I've been there in the dark places, and all I needed was a little bit of light. And the light that kept me out of that was my hope that I was going to be able to put my gloves on soon. But really, my hope was just, I wish somebody would give me a hug. Later in life, now hugs are appreciated. I used to think it was this. So yeah, life changes, guys. So if you're stuck in a place, it's gonna get better.
And we're going to put Tim's contact up above later on, and we're also going to put a hotline number that we do for kids that are in trouble.
And I'm also going to put a link to my song. So I'd like 100% of the proceeds to that to go to a suicide hotline. So let's figure out how to do that and actually, help these kids, because kids are, I feel that when it happens at a young age, it's very hard to get out of that system from experience. And I know for a fact, even myself, I blocked a lot of things out. You know what I mean? But I think, and I don't think I would be able to help people like you, because you were born with this natural caretaker for, I don't know. I mean, I'm a caretaker, don't get me wrong, because I do take care of people, but you just have something, this story right here, we need to take this and 10x this out, because there's veterans as well. Like Heather, you might want to talk. Heather wants to say something. So I know it, because as soon as I said veterans, she's got a story to tell as well.
Well, first off, thank you for sharing. I know it's not always easy, but you know, the more people that you help, I think the more healing you do on your own. Yeah, I've dealt with mental illness with my children for a very long time, and it's hard, I think, just as men in general, to ask for help. I think that that needs to change in our society, that men should feel empowered to ask for help. My 3 sons have all attempted, and you know, we got through it somehow with the support of people like you. We do have a question from someone. I know in your training facility, they're asking, do you have any chips or anything for children that can't afford to do this, or just looking for somewhere to go that's safe?
Well, right now, Heather, because of quarantine, we're on a little bit of a modified schedule, and I'm not exactly sure what classes that the gyms are doing right now on a full schedule, because I'm actually not teaching in the martial art gym right now. I work at I teach classes at a yoga facility where we don't have a children's program, but I can find out and get you the information.
Okay,
That would be great. I think we had a little mic thing there. Heather, thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to share too and say I am a survivor, Tim. So I know what that is like. Mine was a different story, but I do know what that feeling is like. Just not feeling heard, not feeling. It's a scary place to be. It's a scary place to be, and I too applied mindset, a lot of things to rebuild and get myself to a place that, you know, learning to forgive yourself and love yourself again was so important. And it took me years to forgive myself and years to have that self-love again. So it's definitely something that we want to put out there. We want to be forthright about, because we really want to help other people, and know that no matter how people seem on the surface, and there's always, you never know what's going on in someone inside their home, their vessel, their being. So I really appreciate you opening that door for us, for everyone to really have this conversation. It's an important conversation to have. But I wanted to also ask you, you came to Vegas, you went to Vegas. I used to live there, so I'm like thinking I'm in Vegas now. You're taking me home to train a specific client that you had. And then out of that, you created your Tim Lane Fitness. And so
Yes.
What is your philosophy that you use with your clients when you're training them to keep them motivated?
Yes, we have to have a goal. So my motto is dream, believe, and achieve. No matter who's doing what, we always have to have a goal. Got to have a dream. And we should have a whole bunch of them. So with the fitness goals, I like to set the goals, and then we set the curriculum of how we're going to reach those goals. When we do the curriculum of that, it allows us to believe that we can actually get what we're looking for. Once those two are combined, you got your dream, now you believe in it, now you achieve it. It's easy as 1, 2, 3.
Do you have that marketing, like that DBA marketed all over the place, or what?
Dream, believe, achieve.
DBA, you need to do that.
I mean,
Like,
here's my thing.
right on.
there you
Love
go.
it.
Yeah. So that's my motto, and that's the solar eclipse. And then I have my.
Oh, I love
Oh
it.
wow, custom
Wow.
gloves.
Yeah.
Oh, I like.
So
Yes, that is
that's
his motto. Bring the pain.
How did you get that name, Bring the Pain?
See that?
Wow, that's
love
beautiful.
it.
I want gloves like that.
Okay,
Yeah, see, so
Bryn.
before you put it on, you think about dream, believe, and achieve. And then it's time to bring the pain.
I love it. That's clever.
Do you sell them?
I do. They're being manufactured right now, Michelle, by a company called Century Martial Arts.
I know them very well. I have a lot of their equipment.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get it. That's very cool.
They're making these as well. These are my.
Oh, yeah.
Love that.
Do you got nunchucks too?
It almost
No
looks like it
nunchucks.
says Mupo on there.
This is MVP. That's the veteran program I work with.
Oh, tell us about that.
Well, Emerging Vets and Players is a nonprofit organization that helps empower combat veterans and professional athletes to have a team together once the uniform comes off. And right now, we're the fastest growing nonprofit in the world. And guys, it's because of this program. Well, I went to the emotional intelligence course 5 years ago, but it was only 1 year after that I was able to say, man, what am I supposed to be doing here in life now that I've realized different things about my life? That's when I stumbled upon the Emerging Vets and Play. Well, should I say it started in our gym. Randy Couture, the founder of our gym.
Oh, yes.
So,
Randy Couture. I'm a big fan of Randy Couture. Wow.
Yeah. So,
As a matter of fact,
I'm like, wow.
There is a Randy wrote about you. I've had the pleasure of working with Tim Lane at Extreme Couture MMA as a coach and trainer for more than 5 years. He is an amazing technical kickboxer. He exudes an enthusiasm and energy that is infectious to everyone he's around. We're very fortunate to have him on staff at XC. Randy Couture, president of Extreme Couture MMA Hall of Fame.
I'm going to have to throw all my UFC stuff out. That's it. I'm all Tim Lane.
Yeah.
I'm going Tim Lane. That's it.
All right.
And tell, what if someone comes to your wants to be in fitness with you? What is the process that they go through? How much time do they need to get from starting to competing in a championship? And what is the process that they go through?
Well, Holly, I've changed my direction and who I train in my life. And right now I'm not training any competitive fighters, and I'm not into the competitive world of fighting. I'm only into healing now.
Okay.
If something comes up in the future and maybe circumstances are different, I may do competition training, but I don't see that in my life right now. So
tell us about the healing. How I know you're working with nutrition. Mm-hmm. And mindset, and you're also you have some CBD organic products that you're doing as well.
Yeah, well, what I do, and something I've been doing for about over 9 years now, is superfoods. And superfood smoothies is something I have every day of my life, no matter where I am. It's the best ongoing detox that our body can do, and that is the main foundation of the nutrition that I like to carry in a course. So most people coming to see me, they will get on a 7-day detox and get the superfoods going in their body. We'll get the program, get their goals together. And before we talk about a whole lot of deeper things, I like to get things going physically, because sometimes physical movement can arrange what we're trying to think of and really the issues that we're trying to heal. So getting people moving, and in the first 3 weeks, after moving and setting our goals, we figured out what the problems were, what the issues were, what we want to fix. And within a month, normally people are feeling like different. It's just from dark to light. It's been a beautiful thing. But I would say, some people are a little quicker on getting their mindset faster. Some people a little slower. But I would say about an average of 1 month. Going from, man, I'm not sure of, what's happening, to, I got, not only physically, but mentally feeling good.
What is the process that you take them through on the mindset?
On the mindset, Holly, it's what is our goal? To achieve our goal, we have to make sure that we have, the most important part is a daily routine. mindset, we have to make sure we write things down, just like in the 10X mentor program, how they have a lot of things organized, even in their books, right?
Right.
So having a daily routine and writing down their daily routine is what's going to get them to their best mental mindset.
Now, when you say writing, some people out there may be wondering, well, why put it in my phone, or I do it, this way?
Phone's no good.
Why is it writing, Tim? That explain to the audience that doesn't know about this.
When we're writing, there are thousands of neural pathways that we're using, and we send these signals out. That having to write it uses a lot more of our brain. So remember, energy and frequency and what we're thinking, that's going to come back to us. If we write it, it just sends a louder message. If you type it in your phone, it's good. It'll still work. But if you want it to be 10X, you got to write it down. So it's all about the message, Holly.
Yeah,
it's about how much we're sending. It's
not only 10X, it's the law of attraction. When you write it down and put it on paper with pen and ink, it becomes fruition. It's almost like you look at it, like when you get a check, like, like Jim, like I'll give you an example. Somebody said to me who was a celebrity, and I can't really say names because I don't want to give anyone props because this is your show, but they said, oh, write this check out. So I want you to look at it. So I wrote a check out. I wrote, I think, for like $3,000. He was like, seriously? He ripped it up. I'm like, hey, and back in like 1985, that was like a big deal to rip up a check. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, like now what's going to happen? And he goes, write another one. So then it was like $100,000, right? Nope, rip it up. $3 million. And he let me, like, there's I don't know where it is, but I have checks that I write. And if you look at that check every day, and you believe in your mind and in your heart. It's one thing, like if you say, hey, I want to be a millionaire, or hey, I want to be a billionaire. If you believe it, and then like, and I think a lot of it has to do with, being on point, like you teaching people discipline. So it's a discipline action, but it has to become an everyday way of life. Like when you go on a diet, am I right or wrong? Like, granted, I'm out of shape now. I have to get back in shape because, I got a thyroid problem. But when I was on point, I was actually working out 4 or 5 hours a day. Now, I don't know. I'm sure you did it like 10 hours a day, being that you're a world champion. I thought I was going to go against someone like Ronda Rousey. And obviously it's, I could bring that on later, but I think I'm a little too old. But 4 or 5 hours a day, and you're training in the UFC gym, and these guys are like coming in the cage with you, and they're fighting, like really fighting with you. And you're just like, they're like, if someone comes up to you, they were teaching me self-defense and I didn't realize it. So they were just like, hey, if someone comes up to you and grabs your arm, what are you going to do? And they teach you these things. And if you're not doing it every day and it's not repetitive, like when you get up, Tim, do you write down your goals the first thing you do when you get up and then meditate and do affirmations?
I don't. Right when I wake up, I have a little bit of a different routine, but in the first 30 minutes, yes, I'm in my office. Yeah.
See this? I don't know if you could see this book, but it's my 10X. Yeah, it's a
little
little 10X book that I write every day for 60 seconds. Okay, for 1 minute, I'll write down everything. Just try it, because I'm telling you, it's going to change your life. And I try to tell everybody, no one listens to me, but when they do, they come back and they're like, how do you know so much? I'm like, when you get assaulted, I was assaulted. And when you're assaulted, you're laid up and you can't do anything. What are you going to do? You're going to read. You're going to listen. And Grant Cardone became a way of life when I had got assaulted on that train. And it changed my life. And I've been through karate schools. I mean, Taekwondo, Ishanru, Krav Maga, but nothing like that until Grant Cardone, before it snapped and clicked. And the fact that you have that mindset, you need to be out there 24/7. Get out of that yoga place, because you need to go you need to go worldwide. We're going to take you worldwide. I just decided you're going to become a client. That's it. We're going to mark you as talent. We're putting you up there because I'm telling you, you have a story to tell. You have a vision, and you're very positive. And the fact that you're positive, I think you could teach people. We need to make a change in this world today. Like, who agrees with me? The world just, this whole thing with the
Absolutely.
politics, we all need to love one another. If I cut you and you cut me, it's the same color blood. And that's the bottom line. It has nothing to do with the shell on the outside. It's about respect. And you know, I don't know. I love everybody. I don't hate anybody. And as much as people, want to dig in me and bully me, I love them for bullying me because it only made me a better person. And that's the way I look at it, and it's just something that, I don't know. I see Tim Lane being, I don't know, maybe having his own jet. What do you say? Let's put it out to the universe.
We flying?
I see you having your own jet and maybe helping kids around the world. I do. I see it.
I love to hear that, Michelle. Mm.
Where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now? What are your goals and your plans?
Well, I would like to definitely do more working with the kids. I have a program out here that's just been a little bit limited because of the quarantine and things, but it's called Iron Sharpens Iron. And it's
Wow.
it's another nonprofit that I work with out here. There's 3 nonprofits that I work with personally. And what I would like to do is, with the soldiers I work with, emerging vets and players, I would like to travel to each of their locations and teach this. This is a connection device that I use for, it started off with the soldiers, but now this works for everyone to be able to connect pain-free. And it just so happens that we're 6 feet apart when you use the sticks for social distancing as well. So I see myself traveling with emerging vets and players. I see a program I work with called Rocksteady Boxing. There are over 1,000 affiliate worldwide locations of Rocksteady Boxing where they have Parkinson's disease, and they use the boxing. Oh yeah, they use boxing to overcome their Parkinson's tremors. And I've seen miracles happen, ladies. And this, what's crazy? This is crazy. So in this program with Parkinson's, you can imagine when they grab the sticks that they're shaking pretty uncontrollable. Well, one day we were talking and we were sharing. So we all start in a circle of, it's about 30 people. We're all in a circle of chairs. And they say, share with us guys what you've done in your daily routine and lives that have helped with your Parkinson's disease. And this one lady, Dorothy, she goes, I'd like to share. And she says, a lot of times when I'm eating with a spoon or a fork, I can't get my food, to my mouth. She goes, do you guys know what I do? And this one guy, he's a kind of a loud guy. He's like, you do what I do. You shove it in your mouth. And we're all like, yeah, that's what I would do. And she goes, no, I already did that. It's too messy. And she goes, the craziest thing happened. My husband and I are at this Asian restaurant, and they didn't have a spoon or a fork, and I was shaking like crazy, and I didn't know how I was going to eat my food because I'm not going to stuff it in my mouth in a restaurant. I got the chopsticks, and somehow my tremor stopped. So she was able to eat with chopsticks when she couldn't eat with a spoon. So it triggered off. I'm like, oh my God. So I start studying into Parkinson's, and come to find out, anytime they use their motor skills or their proprioception skills, it takes away their tremors. So now when I use these as not just striking devices, but they're like big drumsticks, and everybody's going to the beat, they're like, oh. Well, they're having to use their hand. And before you know it, they're holding the sticks like this. But then about 5 or 10 minutes in, there's no more shaking. And
God bless.
That's incredible.
Oh man, talk about goosebumps.
That's incredible. And that's completely without medication. We just connecting the brain activity. I mean, not to say that they don't need the medication, but
I'm sure they're on medication.
Yeah. But you're connecting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It has minimized it. And what I've noticed, guys, is, me being self-conscious my whole life has affected so many of my relationships. But even like if we're on the phone with each other like this, I would be so self-conscious of so many different things that I may not even answer the question properly, or I may not even know what subject we're still on.
Mm-hmm.
these Parkinson's patients, when they're around other people, they're so self-conscious of their shaking that they never really get present. And what's happened with the sticks is it's allowed them to do a connection drill with someone else while they're facing each other inside each other's energy field. And when there's no judgment and they're just concentrating on sticks, their energy comes together, and they don't have symptoms for sometimes 4 to 12 hours after. They go home, the day is great. The kicker is trying to get them up and get them motivated. But the number one thing that is the cure, not a cure for Parkinson's, but it'll help them live 30 years longer, is exercise. And I've noticed with the exercise, guys, I look at my whole life and I'm like, man, how did I make it this far without going crazy? Exercise. Until I was able to let things out, exercise helped save my life. And I'm in a good routine now. I don't work out, extreme like I used to. No more hitting things, or sparring and things, but exercise alone will just let us see so much better and feel so much more positive.
That's so true. That's incredible. Exercise will save your life. I love that. Movement is so important. Movement helps the brain. It just gets you going. They said people that work out feel better. They have better moods. The thought process, what you put in your system, in your gut, also affects your brain. So it all goes hand in hand. You have a CBD too. Tell us how that CBD works, and what is unique about this particular product you have?
Well, what's unique about this is the extraction process. CBD comes from a hemp plant, and a lot of times what they'll do is they'll take the extraction out of it, and they put it in oil. Well, our body is mainly made up of water, so when you put the oil in, the absorption rate of the CBD to our body is anywhere from about 5 to 10%. To whereas in a water, the absorbability, as long as it's done properly, which this company has a proprietary extraction process, you get absorption rate anywhere from 85 to 95%. So this is a water.
Water soluble.
Water soluble CBD.
Okay.
That is, and sometimes I have a friend here in town that has good hemp plants, and he makes his own oil, CBD oil. He's given it to me. He said it takes about 3 weeks to kick in. And I'm like, okay. But he gave me a few bottles. I tried it this years ago. It didn't work for me at all. And I was like, man, I don't want to keep taking this product because it just doesn't work. Another friend of mine, this is about 3 years ago, he said he had a different type of CBD that was a water. There was a proprietary extraction process. You don't even have to put it in. You don't even have to take it under your tongue. You can put it on it. And I was like, you know what? Let me try it. 1 drop. And I put it on my hip. And immediately, within a minute, pain went away. And for me, pain's huge. I'm like, okay, I'm like, wait a second now. Can I get a little sample or something? Can I bring it home and do something a little later? Because maybe because I'm excited, it worked, a placebo effect or something. But it was real. It took the pain right away from me. Also, with anxiety and sometimes different feelings, it's a balancer. So all the benefits that you hear about from CBD, there are great benefits, but it all depends on the product. Just like you guys know with anything else, it's all about the product, where did it come from, who made it. This is a great company. And
where can people find this product? On your website, or can they get it?
You can get it other places, but if you look at it on my website, that's where the brand name is, and then you can also go to their website. The brand is Breezo Pure.
Breezo Pure. And you have all your, I'm seeing you here, I have the website up, you have all your curriculums on here, the group fitness. How are you doing the fitness now with everything going on virtually?
Well, we're doing group classes right now, Holly, at True Fusion. That's a yoga studio. Okay. So I teach 2 classes a week there, one on Monday and one on Friday. And then the martial art gym they don't have any classes open for me right now. And instead of training people inside the gym, because there's been limited space, I've been meeting my clients at a nearby park. So we've been training outside.
Okay.
That's early in the morning.
True Fusion is in Las Vegas. Can you tell us where?
Well, True Fusion is located all around the United States. Alex Rodriguez and Jennifer Lopez are some of the investors in the company, but it's a corporation that has now, I think there's over 30 locations. So yeah, here in Las Vegas, we have 3.
Yeah, Alex
And-
owns one. He owns a lot of the UFC gyms, by the way.
But where can people find the one you're at in Vegas? Where can they find you if they want to?
They can find it at truefusion.com, and I am at the Blue Diamond location, Nevada Blue Diamond location.
I know it well.
Yeah, you know Blue
Thank
Diamond.
you. Yes, I know.
So you said you were in New Jersey. Where in New Jersey were you?
I was in Morristown.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
20 minutes, 40 minutes from me.
Yeah, I was there, I think, for about 4 months. Crazy. You guys will enjoy the story since it's way back. So remember I told you I was in that place till I was 19? Well, they let me out with the thought of my family's living in New Jersey, so I'm leaving Virginia. So I left Virginia and I went to New Jersey. I'm 19 years old, and I wanted to go back to Virginia to see someone. So I ended up going back to Virginia and saw someone, and there was some troubles that went down. There was a little scuffle that happened, and I went back to Jersey with my dad, and I was there, and everything was going fantastic. But that scuffle that had happened, they wanted me to come back there and pay the price for some people that got hit that night, and they ended up coming up to Jersey and getting me and extraditing me back to Virginia, and that's what actually brought me back there. And I didn't move back for another like 7 years, and that's when I moved to New York. So yeah, I was in Jersey for a short time.
But New Jersey is really the place to be, guys. I'm just telling you, once you're
Hey,
from
it
New
is.
Jersey, you have to come back.
It is. Jersey's great.
See, I tell these ladies all the time, come to Jersey, we'll get a building, because it's, I don't know, there's nothing like Jersey. There really isn't. I mean, it's the home of John Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen, Eddie Murphy. I mean, John Travolta's from here. Come on. I mean,
And John Travolta.
I have a feeling we're going to end up there the way Michelle makes things happen. We're definitely going to end up in Jersey.
I
One
love
way or
Jersey.
another. Tim, it has been such a pleasure having you on. Thank you for joining us, for taking the time, for sharing your story, your stories. It's so great to learn more about you and see what you're doing. I love what you're doing with your company and what you're doing for others. 3 charities is a lot. That's a lot, and you're very, very giving of your time, of your energy, and we just really appreciate you. And so please, if you are interested in fitness, in nutrition, if you just want to talk to Tim and learn more about him, or you have questions of your own for anything you might be going through, timlanefitness.com. And he is personally in Las Vegas, California, my old home, but you can reach out to him via timlanefitness.com. And they can also find you on Facebook and Instagram at Tim Lane.
And if you want to book him for any autograph appearances or movies, you're going to hit up Mupo Entertainment for that, because I'm going to make sure he gets paid.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Tim, I like to ask people some questions before we go. And for you, I'd like to ask, how would you like to be remembered? What is the legacy that you'd like to leave behind, not just to your family, but to the world?
That Tim loved me. That he made me feel comfortable when I was around him. When I was around Tim, things felt good.
And if you could pick your superpower, what would it be? What is your superpower?
Love.
Amen.
Amen
I love
to that.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Thank you so much. Yes, love. I believe in that. Love is truly the superpower of the universe, and it is a healing power. When you learn to love yourself and you learn to love others, and you continue to love even through adversity, the the chain link in the universe grows and the frequency becomes much higher. And that frequency is extremely powerful. So thank you again, Tim Lane, for joining us on Mupo and Friends. This is Hollywood. Thank you, Michelle Mupo, for having me as your
Thank you.
co-host, and my beautiful co-host, Heather Hernandez. You can tune in weekly to Mupo and Friends. You can also, this is sponsored by Mupo TV at mupotv.com, and you can find us on our website at www.mupoentertainment.com. And as always, this is Hollywood with Mupo and Friends, and we are over and out.